Deputy Chief Stewart, Ms. Smith, Ms. Robinson, Mr. Howard, Mr. Harris, Chief Dunlap, Mr. Chirikian, Chief Judge Pro Tem Braxton, Chairwoman Clark Coleman.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you so much. Remarks from the chair. I think that we're all still in shock about what's happening here with our beloved Michigan State University and the students and staff over there. For those who are not aware, I have a grandson who was up there, so you know that I was on watching, glued to the television, texting back and forth to his parents, my daughter and my son-in-law, and we were all watching that very closely. We did hear from him, and he informed us that he was in a safe. He was in lockdown at a safe location, and that gave us a lot of relief. But you know, you don't really feel that whole relief until they're back in safely at home. So his father, as soon as they announced that they had found the assailant, he was on the road, pick up my grandson, and my grandson was back home at 2:00. I could then go to sleep. So I'm saying that to say, I know what those parents are going through. You send your loved ones to school thinking that they're going to be safe. It's a safe environment. You know, they're at college, you know, learning. And so you don't feel that nervous feeling. But now, situations like this take away our sense of freedom, our sense that we're a stress level being reduced. And I'm just so happy with law enforcement that I think they did an outstanding job in identifying him and catching him as quickly as they did. So kudos to them. I just don't know what we can do because it's happening more and more. It's happening too frequently. And so we've got to find a way to mitigate these awful offenses. Children ought to feel safe when they go to school. This was not in the dorms. This was in the lecture hall. And how do you screen students going in and out of the lecture hall in class? It's just awful. It's just awful. But we have to work on it. We've got to find some way to reduce this gun violence. And I'm going to say this. I was in the legislature for 12 years, 4 years in the House, 8 years in the Senate. Every term, we would introduce common sense gun legislation, every term. And every term, they would either not take it up or vote it down. So I'm hopeful, I'm prayerful that maybe we've got a friendlier, House and Senate now, and the governor, where we can finally get through common sense. Nobody wants to take away everybody's guns. That's stupid. We just want people who have mental problems, you know, to not be able to go out and buy a gun. Or at least require them to be registered and have and certainly I'm sure that our police commander certainly understand that we need to be able to, they need to go through a process where they can be tracked. It just needs to happen. So that's just my little commentary for today. I'm going to be watching our legislators up there, because I was never fortunate enough, the whole 12 years I was there, never fortunate enough to serve during the time when we had the House, the Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. I drool at the thought of being able to serve with the House, Senate, and the governor's office. They would have made things so much easier. So I'm going to be watching our legislators now, because we need to get something done. If this doesn't tell us in Michigan that something needs to change, background checks, something as simple as background checks ought to be required. So that's it. Those are my remarks for today. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item C, approval of the October 26, 2022 meeting minutes.
Can I have a motion? Can I have a support? Okay, it's been properly moved and supported that we approve the minutes of October 26, 2022. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item D, unfinished business. There is none listed. Moving to item E3, 10-minute presentation from Christopher Rivers of Visionz Group.
Are you Christopher Rivers? Please step up to the podium. Is it turned on? Madam Clerk?
Hello.
Yes. Would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Christopher Rivers, CEO of the Visionz Group.
Okay.
And
Proceed.
first and foremost, Commissioner Clark Coleman, I'd like to thank you and the committee for allowing me a few moments to share a little bit about Visionz Group, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So thank you again.
Oh, you are the welcome.
Should I lean in, or is it?
No, I think we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So a little bit about the Visionz Group. Again, my name is Christopher Rivers, CEO, Visionz Group. As we look at the presentation here, the way that I would describe the Visionz experience is truly engaging, empowering, and effective. Next slide, please. A little bit about Visionz and who we are. First and foremost, we were founded in 2016, and since that time period, we've been at the forefront of soft skills research and curriculum development. We provide outcome-based workforce development and employment readiness workshops. Most know us for our workshops that we have, but truly, we're responsible for developing robust, interactive college, career, and life readiness curriculum that we've utilized to serve colleges, youth groups, criminal justice organizations, and more to improve the soft skills of their participants. We have an innovative life skills intervention, prevention, and transition curriculum. It's designed to ensure that our participants are future ready, and we do that through our innovative learning pathways. And we'll discuss a few of those on the next slide. We teach our soft and life skills and social emotional growth skills in a fun, interactive, and engaging way. Ultimately, we're looking to give our participants those keys to success so they can be, again, successful learners and earners as they progress through life. And then we also increase knowledge of the causes, triggers, and strategies to deal with anger management, conflict resolution, and developing a growth mindset. And I, before I go to the next slide, I'd really like to say that, we were founded by my father, Willie, and myself. My father, he was in executive leadership with Ford for over 32 years. During that time period, he saw the effects of the lack of soft skills and how that stunted many individuals in that corporate setting. Myself, as I observed the young people and people in the cities that I lived and worked, I realized that there was truly a gap where, individuals without these soft skills, they truly weren't as successful as others who maybe had an abundance of those. We realized that these skills were being devalued in the education system, de-emphasized in the home. And that's truly why we stepped in and really took on this crusade. And again, we manifested this because for 15 to 20 years after leaving the Detroit area, I was living in the Dallas area, again, working with colleges, universities, other types of organizations. And then we designed our business plan 7 years ago around the city of Detroit and really having an impact here. An opportunity allowed me to come back here 2 years ago, and I'm really passionate about making a difference in this market. Next slide, please. The Visionz evidence-based curriculum. So with regard to our work readiness programming and curriculum, which we're focused on in this market, we primarily focus on two of our pathways, which is our career development pathway and our social emotional growth pathway. In our career development pathway, we have 6 modules: first impressions, communication skills, resume and cover letters, interviewing skills, the power of networking and teamwork, and responsible decision-making. And then in our social emotional growth pathway, we focus on anger management, conflict resolution, growth mindset. So in every module that we have 19 total. Again, they're robust. They have the PowerPoint presentations, the pre and post workshop participant assessments where we gauge participants' knowledge before and after completing our programming, interactive, engaging activities, Visionz. We create our own custom scenario-based visuals that our participants really get into and get a kick out of. And then for each module, we also give them a reflective journal. So they're able to really reflect upon that experience and really hold on to that information for a lifetime. So we truly believe that our model works and we're having successes. Next slide, please. Thank you. Some of the deliverables that we bring to the table, our assessment and intake. When participants come to us, we truly understand what their needs are. Again, we have our interactive, customized workshops where it's in a group setting, and that's where we find the most value because our participants are able to not only connect with our academic life skills coaches, but they're also able to build off of each other and build off of their experiences. So we find that to be the most engaging setting where the participant gets the most value, if we will. We give them the reflective journal. We do custom resume development. So anyone that comes through our programming, if they already have a resume, we'll enhance it. If they don't, then we'll create it from scratch based on our resume gathering worksheet that we give to them. We assist with job fairs, job search assistance, job placement, and then check and connect support services, in other words, mentoring services. So we're there with them every step of the way because we understand the different learning challenges and or just motivational challenges that some have. So, these are some of our deliverables. Next slide, please. The biggest problem that I see when we talk about soft skills, and it's with the workforce in general. Many don't know statistics. So 85% of what it takes to get a job, keep a job, transition to new opportunity, is based on people or soft skills, while only 15% is due to technical skills or the skills required for a job. So I really drive that home. I mean, you can be the best welder, landscaper, salesperson, but if you can't communicate effectively, if you're not a quick learner, if you're not a team player, if you're not dependable, some of these personal soft skills that are oft neglected, those are truly the most important. I mean, if you're a landscaper, guys will say, hey, I can mow 15 lawns in a day. But if you can't effectively communicate with that customer to collect payment or to, inform them about what the next service levels look like, then again, many times you won't have success long-term. So we focus on the development of those soft skills. And again, we know that these skills are being bred out of our culture. We know that failure to develop these skills lead to poor employment, high stress, and living an unfulfilled life. So that's where we understand and we see it firsthand how important just putting it into the mind state of individuals that, hey, making a good first impression, greeting people with an aura and a smile, I mean, that really goes a long way, not just in a professional situation, which we're there for, but in social situations and personal situations as well. So, thank you. How we win, this is truly, big for us. And I think the biggest reason is our team. So every member of our team has truly been successful and been champions in their respective field. From my father, who, again, executive leadership, one of the first African-American VPs throughout, any channel in the late 80s, early 90s, to Dr. Dixon, Dr. Marva Dixon, who is our curriculum developer and curriculum developer. She's developed our culturally responsive, evidence-based curriculum, to our academic life skills coach. His name is Dudley Thurmond, also known in the speaking world as Dr. Bounceback. And he really connects with our participants because he's really had that shared experience and he's really overcome and become a successful speaker. So, a mix of the team, our academic life skills coaches, and then other individuals that they can adequately model, we really think that really leads to our success. Our mentoring services, really tracking and following individuals, our structured workshops where we're having successes, and then our job placement services. That's where I really take this personally, really connecting with employers across the city, across the state, and really advocating for individuals and ultimately being that source of referral. And really, main goal is to find different types of opportunities for individuals to access that are outside of skilled trade opportunities, customer service, and other types of roles that individuals are looking to access. So that's a little bit about our formula to win. Expected outcomes. We look to increase participants' chances of success during interviewing, networking, job fairs by strengthening their ability to make first impressions. That's our flagship module, First Impressions. We really believe that's the root of every great relationship. Your first impressions are formed in 7 seconds. So it's just a split second that you have before someone's making an opinion of you. Improve their social skills through understanding the psychology, motivation of others during interactions. So that body language, understanding that, and how that can impact a first impression in your messaging. Understanding how to balance the use of soft skills and technical skills, that 85-15. We know 85% of what it takes to be successful is through people or soft skills. And then the last piece is helping with individuals who only have an adequate level of soft skills, helping them see where maybe the challenges have lied with ways that they've handled situations in the past. Our experience with justice-involved individuals, we're in the 3rd year of our contract with HMSA, Health Management Systems of America, and Michigan Department of Corrections, where we provide job readiness programming and job placement services for parolees. So when individuals are released from Michigan Department of Corrections, their parole agent refers them to HMSA, who refers them to us for our service, and we service them for a period of 2 years. We also have a partnership with Dallas County Juvenile Detention Center, where we work with the juveniles who are currently detained there in the city of Dallas, Texas. Some of our results. Over the past 5 years, Visionz, we've supported 610 individuals, well, over that number, to obtain sustainable employment over the past 5 years. And last year, 2022, when MDOC had their job fair, they tasked Visionz with creating custom resumes for parolees who were attending that job fair. So at that time period, we did over 200 resumes. We did 11 for probationers. Our contract wasn't set up for probationers. That's why that number was so small. They've tasked us again with that service. So we will be providing on-the-spot resume services for parolees beginning March 1st for the job fair that is on April the 28th. So they come to our location, they fill out our resume gathering worksheet. We get that information extracted, create a resume on the spot, typically takes about an hour, and then they're on their way. So that's the services that we're providing in addition to our workshops and our job placement services. And then what next? Again, Visionz would like to find a way to be able to impact more individuals in the community. Currently, again, we work with parolees, but we'd like to find a way to work with probationers. We'd like to find a way to work with some of the juveniles in Wayne County. We'd even like to find a way to work with individuals as a whole, because that's ultimately what we're designed to do. Yes, we're in the market working with justice-involved individuals, but we truly have the tools or the ability to deliver these tools to any audience. Last but not least, I'd like to say that we would ultimately like the opportunity at some point to potentially showcase the value and demonstrate the benefits of Visionz and what we do, possibly select an audience who, can come down and really experience what it is that we have and the power behind not only the tools that we deliver, but the team and just, again, the overall experience. So I really thank you all for your attention. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit more about Visionz and what we do. Does anyone have any questions?
Are there any questions or comments from commission members? Go ahead.
Do you have any information on how much it costs per member?
Yes, I could send. Yes, absolutely. That's how we currently bill with the state, is per person. So per individual that comes through our programming, we have a per person cost. Yes, I can share that with you. Absolutely.
If you can send it to Ebony McCann.
Yes. Okay, I'd be happy to do
And then
that.
she will send it to the commissioners,
Thank you. Yes.
board members. Go ahead.
I don't know if I missed it. How long does the program last when you're working with one individual? Is it like a 6-month, a 2-month, or?
So they're with us. We track them for a period of 2 years as a part of the offender success. So they come to our program actually is 10 total sessions. So each session is designed for 1.5 to 2 hours. So at one point we were doing 1 session per week for 5 weeks, but we were having challenges with individuals returning back for future sessions. So I thought that the best approach was to have full day sessions. So that's what we're doing now. So they come to the Visionz session for 1 full day, 8 hours. They spend that time with us. We give them those tools. And then from that time period on, we're responsible for that job placement and then tracking their placement and the retention and the mentoring aspect of that for 2 years.
If I'm to be clear, this is an in-person program, not a virtual program.
It is in person, yes. They come to the Visionz session in person. We're housed at Northwest Activity Center. Typically, there's between 8 to 12 individuals per session, and we're there weekly.
Go ahead.
I would say, well, our current caseload, we currently have about 150 individuals who are a part of the Visionz program. Again, after that 2-year period, some drop off, but we have the capacity to service up to 500.
So you mentioned that it's an evidence-based program. Can you tell us where the initial randomized control trial was conducted?
So when we talk about evidence-based from an educational standpoint, we say that it's based on research that shows the effectiveness of these tools on a specific audience. So, in the justice system, we've come across this. So when I say evidence-based, it's based on the research that has been done to qualify this information to say that, hey, these are the tools that are needed in order for an individual to be deemed 21st century ready, 21st century future ready. So I think what you're asking is, where was the validation done with regard to the evidence? And we don't have that with you. We have our results, but not the validation that you're speaking of in that way.
So I'm from the behavioral health world. And so when we say evidence-based, It's looking at the fact that the intervention or program was proven effective in at least one similar group to what you are looking to serve. And so that's why I asked that.
Sure, I appreciate that. And, when it comes to questions like that, that's where, the esteemed Dr. Dixon would be able to come in and really just be able to really, give you that meat that you're looking for and really answer that question in the way that you're looking to have answered.
The question I have is, and I'm not sure if you have this right now readily available, but with regards to placement and retention information, and if you don't, if you could share that with the rest of the board through Ms. McCann, that would be appreciated because it'll be able to help give us some information as it relates to the evidence of, not necessarily the research data, but being able to show based on the individuals that you've served, primarily what I think we would look for those who are justice involved and what those outcomes have been with regards to placement in jobs and the retention, understanding the impact on enhancing the skill development of this population as being the catalyst to that long-term employment.
Sure, I can answer that question. So our job placement rate is right around 52%. And then our retention, we're trending right there like 68%, 65 to 70% retention.
Pretty good numbers.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I believe, in being with those individuals every step of the way and really just understanding their individualized needs, especially when they show that passion for wanting to, access opportunity and get to the next level. So we're having success with those individuals.
Go ahead.
Please. Absolutely, I'd be happy to provide that information.
One more here too. Just what's the age range that you typically deal with?
Well, with this particular contract, HMSA MDOC, it's going to be anyone who has been released. So we're saying anyone from 22 and to individual 75. A gentleman was released after 36 years and he's 75. So, it's a wide range of, wide age range. Now in Dallas, Texas, those are 14 to 17 because they're in the juvenile detention.
Wondering about the younger ones.
And that's where our true passion lied. That's where we truly were focused early on with the youth. And then this opportunity came about, and then we're trying to transition and show that we can impact other audiences. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for the presentation. Next lady.
Item E2, gun violence prevention intervention, updated next steps.
Through the chair, Ebony McCann, Adult Community Corrections Administrator. I just wanted to provide the board with an update on the gun violence prevention intervention RFP or program design that the subcommittee was working on. I think it was Mr. Sharikian at our last meeting. At the conclusion, he said, "Ooh, you guys have your work cut out." And I did not necessarily take that to heart at that moment. But yes, we have had our work cut out. I think going into the development of a gun violence prevention intervention program, we all had a lot of different ideas and thoughts regarding what it looked like on the surface. But as we began and as we met, we determined very quickly that there was a lot more information that we would need to develop a program that would address the needs of Wayne County probationers. Mr. Howard, during our meetings, he shared some evidence-based studies that he identified that may have been of benefit to us for our research and development of this program. Our esteemed Deputy Chief Commander Stewart, our Chief Commander Stewart, shared some statistical information from the Detroit Police Department, as well as she comes to us with a vast background from ceasefire. And what we don't want to do is overlap the services or duplicate the services that are already being provided by ceasefire. And so it was determined that we may need to have a sit-down discussion with ceasefire to identify what gaps, if any, they've determined as a result of them providing this service in our community. And in the event they have identified some gaps, how can we then develop our program around those gaps that have been identified? And so that's where we are. I will, if the chair permits, see if ceasefire is available to come to our next meeting. If not, I will invite you all to our next subcommittee meeting where they will present their program, and we can ask those questions. And it may also be beneficial. They have, sessions called call outs, where the individuals that are enrolled in their program, they sit, they discuss the case. So that may even be beneficial for us to kind of go and see what that looks like. I know that going into the development of this program, there were a lot of misconceptions I had about ceasefire. Primarily, I was not aware that they actually do have a partnership with the Michigan Department of Corrections, and they work and they get cases from the bench. And so I think if we can kind of dispel those misconceptions that we have, just have a sit-down conversation with them to become knowledgeable of the services that they actually provide and see how we can move forward with developing this program. And then 2, identifying, is gun violence prevention the route in which we need to take? I know that we've seen on the news all of the gun shootings and violence that has occurred in our city. But again, if those services are being provided, there may be another need that we should tap into to expend these funds. I have spoken with our counterpart at the Michigan Department of Corrections Office of Community Corrections. She is aware and knowledgeable that this is a pilot program that we were attempting to develop. And so she's willing to work with us. So there is no time frame. I think my concern was that if we did not spend these funds this year, that we would be in jeopardy of risking the use or utilization of the funds for next year. And so, like all of our applications and services, we can request the funding for fiscal year 2024, which is my plan and intention. However, moving into the development of the application, I hope that we would have some supportive, substantive information that we can include as a result of our discussion with ceasefire and the Office of Community Corrections from the state level. So I just wanted to provide you all with that update that we are working, and I would like to thank publicly the members of the subcommittee that volunteered their time outside of this group to come and meet. I think we had 2 meetings back to back, and they were more than willing to make themselves available to me. And so I would like to publicly thank you all for your time and your dedication to the the committee. Thank you.
Questions? Okay, next item.
Item E1, review and approval of the Michigan Department of Corrections fiscal year 2023 first quarter report.
Good afternoon again, Ebony McCann, Adult Community Corrections Administrator. As indicated in our application through the Michigan Department of Corrections Office of Community Corrections, we are required to submit quarterly reports, which must be reviewed and approved by the board to the Office of Community Corrections. I am pleased. I think at this time last fiscal year, we were all wondering what, if anything, we could do to increase our numbers in programs and increase enrollments and referrals. And so this report will provide, and I'm not sure if you have a copy in your packet. I know it was emailed yesterday, but you have a copy? Okay, thank you. The report outlined services that were provided for Q1, so October 1 through December 31st. And on the Excel sheet, of the report. It highlights the programs that we offer. So Lake Ridge Village, which is a cognitive-based program. It's a 30-day program that takes place inside of the Wayne County Jail based on their expenditures and utilization. They enrolled 22 defendants or probationers during that reporting time. So during the reporting time of Q1, there were 22 enrollees, which is 37% of their target. So we anticipate for fiscal year 2023 that they would enroll and provide services to at least 60 probationers. And as of December 31st, they have provided services to 22. So they are on target to meet their enrollment and utilization goal for fiscal year 2023. The second program, which is provided through our federally, or will be provided through our federally qualified health clinic, is a trauma-informed care program for women. The FQHC will subcontract to Black Family Development. This program is in commission queue, and so we have not had any enrollments as of yet. We cannot provide any programming until the contract has been approved by commission. But once that contract has been approved, we know that we will enroll at least 60 women in this program through September 30th. And so I am excited. I've had several MDOC agents reach out to me to see where this contract is in the commission queue so that they can definitely start enrolling and referring women to this program. So there's definitely a need. And so I'm excited to get that program up and rolling. Unfortunately, the only program that continues to see a reduction in referrals is our domestic violence program, which is provided by ETRS, and this is the jail-based program. So the jail-based program, defendants must be sentenced to a minimum of 90 days, no more than 120 days in the Wayne County Jail to complete this program. And for whatever reason, we are seeing that judges are sentencing or referring individuals to the community-based program, more so the jail-based program. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that program to discuss with the vendor what, if any, additional services they can offer, potentially get them to conduct a presentation in front of the bench so that the bench can be aware and knowledgeable that this is a program that takes place inside the jail, that it is available, and that there continues to be a need for enrollment in this program. Community Corrections has taken an additional step. We are using the newly rolled out jail management system, which highlights, it tracks everything, every inmate that's booked into the Wayne County Jail, but we are identifying potential similar offenses to domestic violence, related to domestic violence, to see if those offenders would benefit from jail-based domestic violence treatment. So we are attempting to identify avenues in which we can increase the referrals for our jail-based domestic violence program. The community-based program, we anticipate 75 enrollments for fiscal year 23. To date, at the time of this report, we had a total of 57, which included services provided to 39 carryovers from fiscal year 2022. So the community-based domestic violence program is on target to meet and more than likely exceed their enrollment goal for fiscal year 2023. We're steady with our enrollments for the GPS tether. That service is provided by the Wayne County Sheriff's Department. There have been a total of 58 new tether enrollments at the time of this report, which was the conclusion of this report, which was December 31st. We typically see an uptick in tether enrollment when it's hot outside. So I'm assuming that we would more than likely meet and or exceed our goal for tether enrollments this fiscal year. Adult fugitive apprehension, these services are provided only for two populations of our probationers. So individuals whom have been sentenced to participate in a specialty court program, or an individual that has been sentenced to a probation residential service treatment program. We've seen a significant decrease in both of those services. So a significant decrease in specialty court program enrollments, which is supervised by Third Circuit Court. And specialty court includes the mental health court, drug court, veterans treatment court. So we have seen a significant reduction in enrollments in those programs. And as a result, there's a lack of individuals violating the terms or conditions of that particular probation. And so we have seen a slow utilization in our apprehension services program. And so we're going to continue to keep a watch or an eye on that. In the event that there continues to be a low need for apprehension services, if there is an increased need for tether funding, we can reallocate some of the funding from apprehension to support the increase in GPS tether throughout the fiscal year. Wayne County Sheriff's Office 5-day housing is a 5-day stay where individuals who are sentenced to participate in our drunk driver jail reduction program are allowed to stay in the Wayne County Jail for 5 days, which will accommodate the intake and assessment that is conducted by or performed by the drunk driver jail reduction treatment vendor. This gives them an opportunity to determine eligibility, to conduct a substance use disorder assessment, to further cultivate their program goals and treatment plans. So once they're released from the jail, they begin to engage in drunk driver jail reduction programming in the community. And we see, that's the last column. We anticipate 75 enrollments for the drunk driver jail reduction program this fiscal year. And to date, we've provided services to 110 carryovers from fiscal year 2024, and there have been 34 new enrollments. And so I anticipate that we will meet and or exceed our goals for utilization for fiscal year 2023 for drunk driver jail reduction. Included in the report also were the approved MDOC key performance metrics. And so at your leisure, you can read those metrics, but MDOC has required that not only are we ensuring that offenders are completing programs, but we're setting a metric to determine what does a successful completion mean. So not that they just enrolled in this program and checked off that they completed the 30-day or 90-day mark, but what measurables can we provide our stakeholders to determine whether or not this program was effective. And so we listed those for your review. They have been approved by the state, and we can, at your leisure, once you review, if you'd like to modify or you think that we may need to address or track other metrics, we can take that into consideration as well. That concludes my review of the Q1 report. Are there any questions?
Is your mic? Do that. Press the button, see the button, and then tap it. Press it again. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, so delay. With the apprehension numbers, and you were talking about potentially looking at moving funds to the tether component for the Wayne County Sheriff's. I don't know if there's been any discussion about expansion of the targeted population for apprehension services, or if there is a need for that for consideration. So that was just one of the areas I think we should take a look at to determine if there are other populations that would benefit from apprehension service to bring them back under compliance that the Wayne County Sheriff's could potentially focus on.
Through the chair, we have, and I think we've had several sidebar conversations. That's a discussion that I think we need to bring in the Office of Community Corrections Manager from the state of Michigan to discuss the actual eligibility requirements for adult fugitive apprehension services. For many years, it's been brought to my attention that Wayne County is one of the only counties that actually provides this service under this application that's funded by the Office of Community Corrections. And for years, we have had to justify the need, the continued need for this program. And so I think if we want to advocate and argue on behalf of probationers that may benefit from this service, I think that we would need to provide an argument to the Office of Community Corrections, the number of offenders that are going unarrested or remaining in the community, and provide a valuable argument to the Office of Community Corrections so that they can see that this is a need in our community, and that it will increase the public safety and security for our residents of the county. But at this time, MDOC, OCC has been very specific and clear as it pertains to the eligibility requirement, and they have specified that the specialty court participant probationers that have been enrolled to participate in those specialty courts and or individuals that have been sentenced to a probation residential services treatment facility under the Michigan Department of Corrections. But I think that, any discussion with a valid argument is up for discussion with OCC. And I think that if we present our case to them, they can take it into consideration, but I think we would be doing our due diligence to at least have that discussion.
Any more questions or concerns? Or next item. Oh, I need a motion on that. I'm sorry. Yeah, can I have a motion on that report? The quarterly report, wait. Yeah, the quarterly report presented by Ms. McCann. Motion?
Move to approve.
Okay. It's been properly moved and supported that we approve the report. Other questions on that motion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item E4, discussion on board vacancies.
Hey, Madam McCann.
And through the chair, Ebony McCann, I just wanted to provide the board with an update regarding our vacancies. In early or late January, Judge Prentice Edwards Jr. tendered his resignation from the board. He no longer serves as the chief of the Third Circuit Criminal Court. And so there is a vacancy for a representative from the circuit court.
Is that Judge Fassard's courtroom?
Yes.
Okay.
I reached out to Judge Knapp,
Judge who?
Bill Knapp.
Okay. All
Is
right.
now the chief of criminal court, to determine whether or not he's eligible to serve as a member of the Community Corrections Advisory Board. I have yet to receive a response. I will follow up with Judge Fassard as well as court administration to see if they have any other recommendations or suggestions for a representative from the circuit court. The PA 511 statute mandates that we have a representative from the circuit court, and so we would need to fill that position. We have a few other vacancies. We are still waiting for a referral or recommendation from the Wayne County's prosecutor's office. I did have the opportunity to speak with Daryl Carson. And if you're familiar with the work environment, corporate America, governmental services post-COVID, everyone is having challenges with filling positions, specifically volunteer positions.
Yeah.
And so we are waiting for the prosecutor to send at her leisure a referral or recommendation from her office to serve on this board. But based on my conversation with Ms. Carson, they are slammed and understaffed in the prosecutor's office. Additionally, there is a vacancy for a representative from the local workforce investment board, as well as communications media. We've never had a representative from communications media, but it is included in the statute. And so I wanted to share those 4 vacancies with you. If you are aware of someone from the communications media or local workforce investment board that you think would like to chime in and add value to this board, please have them forward their resume to me, and I can make sure that the commissioner receives and reviews them, and we can move forward with potentially adding them as a member to the board.
So is communications media, is that within Wayne County, or is that anyone that's in the field?
The statute does not state or stipulate whether or not the person has to be a Wayne County resident. And I think that you could take that into consideration once you review and approve or review those resumes, if that's something that you'd like to consider.
I think it would be good to have a person, communications media person.
I'll follow up with the State Office of Communications, Community Corrections, excuse me, to see if there is a mandate or if they have a position regarding whether or not the representative is a Wayne County resident.
So they can be in any other fields.
But you know what? I take that back. We've had members of our board who don't necessarily live in or reside in Wayne County. So I think that we can take that into consideration and just review the resumes as they come in and go from there. So.
Post office and see if there's someone from their communications. I would certainly try the sheriff's department. I know that they do have a communications department, but it could be someone from the private industry. It could be from, it does not have to be the county. It can be someone from private enterprise. Yes, ma'am.
It was on already. I wanted to ask a question about that. Does the word media mean specifically in television or radio, or just communications as in?
Doesn't just mean television or radio. It covers journalism. It covers newspapers. It covers people who work with PR. It could be
Like any
PR firm.
ability to get to media?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So keep your eyes and ears open. If you know of someone, please feel free to recommend them. Recommend that they send their resume to Ebony, and we'll be glad to consider them. We would certainly like to have someone in that area. Yes, ma'am. Ebony.
Says under letter M, one member who is affiliated with the applicable workforce investment board. So affiliated.
That gives you a little broader.
There's affiliated. So not
leverage.
necessarily a member, membership adjacent.
Affiliated. That opens it up a little bit. Okay. Anyone else? So we haven't heard, we haven't heard from the prosecutor's office.
Heard from Daryl Carson, and that was the update that she provided me, that they are.
Oh, they're so,
short-staffed. Yeah.
so short-staffed.
Yeah, but she is aware that there is a vacancy, in that she is working to fill the vacancy.
Who represented her before?
Paul Bruno.
Bruno, that's
Yes.
who it was.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Is that it? Do we need to take any action on that?
No.
Just discussion.
Just discussion.
Okay.
And if I may, as a point of privilege, Commissioner, during this time, we do have a new board member. This is her first meeting today. And so I would like to take this opportunity to allow Mrs. Andrea Smith to introduce herself to the board.
Tell us a little bit about you.
I am Andrea Smith. I have a degree in social work, but also educational background in entrepreneurship and international health as well. And I have a passion for the veteran population, justice-involved population, adolescents. So basically those who are often overlooked and underserved. I have been with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network for 9 years now. And prior to that, I was at Eastern Michigan University, focusing on evidence-based practices and programs in Wayne County specifically. Even while at Eastern Michigan, the focus was in Wayne County. So with this opportunity, I am just looking to contribute in any way possible, specifically around educating individuals in the justice-involved population and space on behavioral health and how to intervene, how to de-escalate, but also how to support and refer and recognize things in yourselves and family members. We often tend to say those people, them, they, when it can be in your own home or it can be you. And so I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Which category does she serve in?
1 second. Get back to the. Under letter G of the statute, at least one and not more than 3 from the following service areas: mental health, public health, substance abuse, employment and training, or community alternative programming. And so she feels we have Pastor Williams, Mr.
Mental health.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. Your area is certainly necessary right now with what we're going through. Gosh, we need all the mental health professionals that we can find. So thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting the appointment. Okay. That went before the board, didn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all approved and everything. Okay. So next item, Madam Clerk.
Item F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the board.
I've not been informed of anything. Ebony, you? No. Okay. Next item.
Public comments. Madam Chair, we have not received any emails.
Thank you. Can you unmute our lines?
All lines have been unmuted.
All right. It is now time for public comment. If you have any comments or at this time, please feel free to make them. If you are viewing via Zoom or on the telephone, please speak now. Second, if there's anyone from the public who would like to make a comment at this time, please speak. Last call. If you'd like to speak at this time, please do. Okay, so public comment is closed. Next item.
Adjournment.
Motion? Or second? Okay, properly moved in second.